Come to you with a project. I have a rather large project coming up where I need to wrap in place beams with banding to make steel banding wraps. And in that process, I have about 10 wrappings that I need to do. And the point that I'm trying to get ready so that I can start this project tomorrow, actually, and I hope to take you along on the project, is these right angles. All right, and they have to be pretty precise. Kind of cold in the shop. My lens is fucking up on us. Is that better? Yeah. So I need to come up with a way, and the dimensions have to be precise because the beams are kind of irregular. So if I make them exactly the dimensions they gave me, at least that's a starting point, and hopefully things will work out well. I won't have to make them over and over and over again until they fit. So I'm trying to come up with a bending jig to do that. Need a tool, make a tool. That's what we're doing today. I'm going to have to do something like this more than once in my hopefully lengthy career. So the idea that I had is if I had a hinged arm that I could bend in some 90 degree that I could bend it again. So I'm actually going to take a piece of this 1/4 inch angle iron, put that in there, and then another bracket that with a hinge that allows me to bend that around the corner. That way I can line up my inside dimension exactly, and hopefully everything stays where it's supposed to stay. I have a couple of weld-on hinges. I think they're heavy enough. Again, as a prototype, who knows for sure what we're going to end up with. But that's kind of the plan, is to make a platform here where I can put in some of the brackets are 6 inches tall, so I need to make this so that it'll handle a 6-inch piece of. Right now I'm only working on 1/8, but I'd like it to be adjustable. I'm going to go ahead, I think, for the prototype, and use two clamps so that I can make it adjustable as far as thickness. So I put the hot piece in, clamp this down, and then hopefully with this hinge arm, bend that piece around exactly where I want it to be. So that's the tool we're going to make. Let me go ahead and get some pieces cut up, and we'll see how it goes. I got the main components cut up here. It's not exactly. Again, I'm not sure if the thing's going to work or not, but I got a nice 1/4 inch plate. I think it's 1/4 inch plate. 3/16 maybe for the bottom plate. That should be sturdy enough. I'm going to mount the angle in this corner here. I'm going to weld this piece on just to give me a little more length. On this side. These are all 1/4 inch. I'll weld these two pieces together to give me this part of the hinge mechanism, and then one piece over here I think is all I'm going to need for the bend. We'll put these hinges over on this corner. Geez, I can't get in the center of the frame at all. Put these hinges on, and then I got a little piece of 1 inch that I can use to put inside my little hardy hole thing on the table here. So let me get everything cleaned up. This is obviously repurposed steel, and then when I come back, we'll see what we can do about welding these things up. The thing I'm concerned about is like this piece here. It's got to get welded together and stay flat. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do with what you have. Until I prove some of these tools out, then I go back and rebuild them. Or at least that's the plan anyway. Rebuild them in a way that might be a little better. So let me get some cleaning done here. I got my pieces all cleaned up as they're going to be. I'm definitely not a welder. Holy cow! It was just a couple years ago. I was a software engineer. The only welding real experience I have is over the last couple of years in this career venture. So a couple of things for those of us who don't know what the hell we're doing. If you're welding on stuff and it isn't clean, you're going to end up with crappy porous welds. It's going to look like crap. Do me a favor. There's probably hundreds of welding videos out there. Some people go too far, some people go far enough. It depends on the project that I'm working on. Again, I am not even close to an expert. Getting better at trying to. Clean it up for sure. On these pieces here, this piece I need to butt joint, I guess you'd call that, and weld that in. I want it to be flush when I get done. I'm just trying to make a 6-inch piece or a 5-inch piece of a 1/4 inch. I didn't have anything around. I didn't want to cut a piece out. So I'm going to weld these two together. Another thing you want to do when you're doing that, if you can see on the top, again, I am not an expert, but I'm just trying to help some of us new guys out. All right? Chamfer those two sides so that there's a valley there. So as you weld in, you can fill that valley. You can then flush grind it. In my mind, you can flush grind it and still have a decent piece of weld there. Good penetration, especially with thicker stuff. Another thing that I've noticed, I'll see if I can simulate it for you, but when I try to I have just some scrap steel here. When I try to butt weld two pieces like this together, all right, let me get a glove, and I go ahead and weld this side. Now I'm on a flat table, everything should stay flat. I just weld down here once. Alright. What will happen, yeah, let me just cool this down, be right back. Happen, and again, I haven't studied this fully, but in my mind it makes sense, is that when you weld, that steel's hot right here. As it cools, it contracts, and you end up with a warped, so yeah, get a good angle on that. Alright, it's going to end up bowing toward that side of the weld, and you're never going to end up with anything straight. Even when you try to weld a perpendicular piece, when you tack this one side, as it cools, it'll bend it over. I mean, you have everything square, and as you tack, it'll bend it over. So again, I haven't worked out how to fix all of that yet. I don't know how to do it, and read the comments. I'm sure some of you guys that are good welders will say, well, this is how you have to do it. But definitely, like if you're doing a piece like this, and you say, all right, I got it square, and you go ahead and try to weld this whole side, it'll go ahead and bend like that on you, I guarantee it. So I usually do a quick tack on this side, and then I tack a couple on the other side, hopefully holding everything in place. That's what I do, but you guys that are experts, certainly give us some pointers and some tips. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and lay these guys flat, and then I'm going to clamp them down so that hopefully the clamp will prevent the warpage from happening. Just a couple of tacks on this side, then I'll flip it over and I'll go ahead and weld the other side. It's the best that I can do. Hopefully I end up with something straight. Let me get set up. The way I have it set up, I got them clamped on both sides. I'm going to run a tack here and then up here. Just two tacks. Hopefully enough to hold it from warping. We'll let it cool there for a second. And we'll hope that held it. And it doesn't look too bad. Not too bad at all. So again, those of you that are experts, hopefully you can give us new guys some tips in the comments below. But I'll go ahead and flush weld this. We'll see what it looks like when I'm done, and I'll show it to you. And zoom out on that a little bit. It's start and stop. I'm feeding too much wire here for sure. That's for sure. This side here, again, feeding too much wire. It takes so much practice, guys. I can't even begin to explain, and you just have to do it. I noticed I had trouble with my wire feeding here, and all of a sudden I get all this crazy ass splatter that I don't know what the heck that was going on there. But just wanted you to see if I'm in the scene. Get up here. Again, these, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's just observations. I started welding this side here. I was getting some splatter, so I hit this with some Windex. And there are, there's spray things and gel things you can put on to help the splatter from sticking. But I just want you to notice that there's a lot more splatter here that's stuck than up here. Could have been me, could have been the Windex. Those are all different things that I do. Good luck, and just don't not weld. Figure it out, all right? And like I tell people at the show, they say, well, that's a pretty good welding. I say, well, I'm a hell of a lot better grinder than I am a welder, and that's how you know you're not doing a good job. All right, let me get the rest of this kind of pieced up here. So here's the butt weld to the angle iron. Again, a little too much wire. I turned down the wire speed a little bit. A little better. I mean, you gotta do it. You gotta accept the fact that you suck. Don't pretend that you don't. But we're on our way. So those two pieces I'm gonna go ahead and clean up with the grinder, and I think we can start putting part of this thing together. Just learn to weld if you're gonna be welding. But here's the two plates. And again, they're pretty darn straight. I think this one has a bit of a, I don't know. They seem to match up pretty well. So these two are grinded off. That's going to go on this plate. I'm going to weld that down like that. This piece is going to be a free piece, but I have to put this hinge bender on now. All right. So this piece needs to be hinged, so I can go ahead and clamp it right where I want it to be, and go ahead and just grab this and bend that sucker right in. So now I need to figure out the best way to get these guys on here so I can get a 90. So let me think about that. I decided to go with this configuration so that I get a nice tight bend here. and that the hinge will open in a way. Now the question I have is, am I going to end up kinking some steel or pinching something on that corner? I certainly hope not. That's why we call it a prototype. Oh, show. Next step in this process is to weld this 90 in here, and then we will get a handle on this thing. At that point, I think we should be able to give it a test. It's a little hokey, but again, I don't want to go too far in case it doesn't work the way I want it to. So let me tack this sucker in there, and we'll give it a go. I think we're ready. And that's where it is. So this is the main frame piece. I put a little 1-inch nipple on the bottom there. It goes right inside my little fake hardy hole on the table. This, I put an bending arm on this. I think the idea is I get it in there, get the steel lined up, clamp it, and then just bend that sucker right over. I think that's how I want to do it. Get it in there, boom. So I think I need much more control in the holding part of this thing over here. I don't know. We're going to find out here pretty soon. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll go ahead and clamp this in there with this for now. And let's just bend a piece and see if it actually does what I want it to do. Hokey, but just something that I can keep improving upon. I think so. So if you remember, I got brackets to make, and each bracket I have like 10 of them to make, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different bends, you know, 1 inch here, 12.5 there, 9 inches, whatever. So what I really need to simulate is saying, all right, I want to bend here and then exactly inside dimension, whatever, 12.5 or some number I want to bend there. And let's simulate that and see how well I can come to within tolerance anyway, of what tolerance. That I'm going to be working with are 1/8 inch thick, but they're going to be 6 or 4 inches wide. So it'll be very interesting to see what that handles like. But this is an 1/8 inch by 2. It's good. So let's say I want to bend right here, and then exactly, let's say exactly 8 inches. I want another bend. All right. So those are my 2 points. I want exactly 8 inches inside dimension. I like that. Now the question is, do I go back here and dimple like I normally do, or maybe I should score that so that I get a much more visible line? And I'm thinking of doing that. It's not going to affect the structure at all. It'll give me perhaps a little bit of persuasion in the piece. But by scoring that, I'm going to have to be very careful how I do that. Let me just recheck my numbers. Measure twice, cut once. And then what's going to happen is, like on this side, I want to score on the far side. Am I in the scene here? I'll turn it around. And again, the inside dimension is critical, so that's this line. I'm going to go on the far side now. And that should give me a pretty damn visible line to do the bending on. So simulation, come in here, line things up so that line is right on the edge of the corner. That would be my outside dimension. Get my clamp in here. Yeah, I can tell this is going to be a hokey. Get that exact same spot. Everything's where it needs to be. And then clamp it. I just simulate that too. Clamp that in place. A vise or some type of mechanical thing will be much better. Clamp that in place. And then just bend it. Alright. I can see I'm pulling away here. So that's the thing that gets me a little nervous. I'm going to need some pretty significant clamping going on. So maybe I'll throw another one here as low as I can. With the 6 and 4 inch stuff, I'll at least be on the material at that point. Yeah, that works really well. All right, let's heat it up and see what we get. I probably could bend it cold. We're going to heat it though. All right, let's see where it goes. Again, with this 1/8 inch by 2, I mean, I could probably bend it cold, but when you get 6 inches of this stuff going, I think it's going to be a different story. So I can very easily see my score. All right, this is the tricky part, and with some jigging, maybe some additional jigging, I think we can make things work. If I'm within a 32nd of an inch, I'm going to be happy. Everything looks good there. I just want to clamp this to keep it from coming out. And we'll do our bend. And it looks like I wasn't down on the bottom. I didn't let this horizontal jig was up in the air. We're still dimensionally okay. This isn't going to work. We'll do this again. Yeah, see, we're pulling the jig out. Sons of bitches! Okay, it's okay. I don't mind a little bit. As long as we can clean it up. The key is I want it right on. Oops, let me get a better grab. The key is I want it right on that score line. And I think with some practice we can make that happen. Right now I'm at least a 16th off. Now what's happening is what I thought was going to happen, and that is as I go to pull, I'm sliding this out. Okay? As I go to pull, this piece is sliding out, and that's why I'm losing my tolerance. Give me a second to think. What I would do for this project is I would just go ahead, take this thing, put it where it belongs, and just weld it. Weld it right in place. And that way it's not going to move, and it'll be close enough within tolerance I'll be able to slide a piece in. The problem is, you know, as you heat a piece up, it expands, so, you know, in variations in the steel, but the biggest problem with this project is this is going to be hammered steel. Therefore, I don't have a guaranteed thickness, so I don't dare just mount this solid right where I want it to be, and then at least have for this project the thing ready, and I just take the thing off and retack it or whatever where I need for the next project. I don't know if I dare do that because of the hammering that's involved. So I got to think. I don't want to put any more into it though either. I don't want to design. You know, I could put a screw system for a clamp and make it more secure. I don't know. God damn it. Ideas that are good, but not thorough. Right there. Damn. The pure pressure, because you know what? When it comes right down to it, you got to get the job done. You know. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and design this thing exactly for 1/8 inch stock. I'll go a little bit big, maybe a 16th big to give me some wiggle room for the hammering. Or I'll just put the hammer marks in after I do the bend, one of the two. So let me come back. I'm going to tack it. I'm not going to go crazy on it so that I can move it if I want to do 1/4 inch or something like that down the line. Let me go ahead and get this thing kind of secured at the 1/8 inch dimension, and let's give it another test. Sometimes you just got to get the job done. Compromise is the mother of all whatever. So I tacked the bottom, and I got 3 tacks in there. So this will, I think this will keep it from moving where I don't want it to move, which is good. Everything's lined up for 1/8 inch. A little bit of room to play, so hopefully I won't have a hard time getting in there. I was going to weld a piece over the top so it doesn't pull away when I bend, but for some of those welds, I definitely need to come down from the top. There's no way I can feed them all in and get where I need to be. So what we're going to do, the new plan will be, on this mark, we'll get her heated, we'll slide her in there, get her lined up where I want it to be, just like that, and then I'll go ahead and clamp this top so that it doesn't move, and then as I bend it, I bet you I could bend this piece cold right now. I think that'll be okay for the pieces that I have to make. Engineering, prototype 101, right? Try this one again, hopefully it'll work much better this time. Get down in there. Like I said, that's going to be the key. Line it up perfectly, brace the top, and bend the piece. Bend the piece. So, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I can deal with that. And it's, boy, you know, I don't know if you can tell, I'm off a little, all right, in that radius. But I think that's something that I can compensate for. And I got to square it up a little bit too. That's part of the problem. So let me go ahead and do this side, and then we'll see what we can do about tolerance now. I'm kind of happy with that. All right. Let's see what we can do with this last dimension. Get it figured out in time. In there. Again, that score mark makes it very easy for me to line up here. We'll clamp this in. And bend. So something, oh well, there we go. Broke the hinges. So much for the trust and strength of the hinges. Alrighty. Hinges, we can find new hinges. That we can make happen. But that looks really good. You can see right on that line, that's exactly where we want it. And again, we're trying to go for a high tolerance inside to inside dimension. Now I got a little hokiness there, so let's take this dimension. We wanted 8 inches, and we are about 8 1/8, but I'm going to be able to tweak that. I know I can make that happen, actually. So let me just go clean things up and see if I get where I want to be. Alright, so I'm going to go back and reinforce that hinge tomorrow. Once on the way to work, I'll pick up a better hinge. But we are less than a 1/16 of an inch off on this inside diameter of this 90 or this U bracket that I was trying to make. So, alright, it's a good, I think that's where I'll stop. It's too bad this hinge failed on me. Besides that, everything worked really, really well. Once I got everything tweaked out, I think it's going to work pretty good. It'll be a quick bend. Again, I don't mind. I went over to the anvil and it's cold and just kind of cleaned everything up. Literally 2 minutes. I don't mind putting that work into that just to make sure everything's where I want it to be. It's the function of getting those bends exact and square and at that mark. So I'm glad I built the tool. It's too bad I got to frig around with this hinge down here, but I'll come up with a better hinge tomorrow when I get started, and then we'll have it. So, I don't know, need a tool, make a tool. Sometimes making a tool is a lot more complicated than it needs to be. But when like I said, I have 10 pieces, I think, and 4 bends each, 40 bends that need to happen. I'm not going to try to guess them by golly and be throwing away 6-inch by 1/8 inch stuff, that's for sure. So, hope you enjoy the build. Give you an idea of maybe something you could do or how you would do it differently. That's the whole point of make a tool, or need a tool, make a tool. We'll catch you in the next one. Thanks, guys.